I'm Samantha Eric here with Brian Dunseth ahead of Game 4. RSL will be heading to LAFC. But team is missing a few pieces, couple guys off with their national teams. Some are unavailable due to red cards, which means time for certain guys to step up, get some opportunities. Who are you looking forward to seeing this weekend?
Yeah, to be quite honest, it's not an individual, it's the collective. I think the one thing that I've harped on and kind of reiterated time and time again is that this roster is stronger than last year's roster. This means that it's the deepest roster in the history of the club, and I think every year the evolution will continue to see guys that will come in and compete for spots, compete for starting time, whether it's target allocation money, general allocation money, or designated players, or homegrown players. You have kind of all of these different ways to build your roster. So in situations like this where virtually everything that can go wrong has gone wrong, and you're forced to play through an international window against a team like LAFC, what I'm looking forward to is less individual and more collective, meaning that that competition, and I said this in the post-game show, immediately starts in region, meaning that these guys are going to understand that there's spots open, there's going to be opportunities. For all those guys that have been pissed off because they're frustrated that they haven't had the opportunity to see minutes, that they felt in preseason that they showed enough to this coaching staff that they deserve to be on the field, well, now's your chance. And it might not be in the way that you wanted it to be, but when you have an opportunity, you have to grab it with both hands. So I expected this week to be the most competitive week that there's been so far over the course of the regular season. I think we've seen that. And now it's up for Mike and his coaching staff to try to start to plug those holes, make the adjustments, while keeping in mind LAFC is only going to miss one player, and that one player is going to be Christian Ramirez.
Big opportunity for whoever Mike Pecky and the coaching staff puts in that starting 11, heading back to Bank of California Stadium for the first time since knocking LAFC out of the knockout round. Dunny, we know that team is going to be motivated. I think I saw something on LAFC.com, Bob Bradley talking about how that loss has motivated them.
But you got to do your Bob Bradley voice. You got to do it.
I don't have one.
You got to do it. We're motivated. Sorry, I'll stop. I get in trouble when I do that stuff.
So they're going to be very motivated. Sorry, I can't do Bob Bradley's voice. Our guys, RSL, going to be feeling maybe some confidence from that win there last year, but also that opportunity, that hunger that they want to show. How did the two balance each other out?
You have to be realistic in understanding that this is a very good LAFC team. In my estimation, I think they and Sporting Kansas City are going to battle for the top spot in the Western Conference. But you take the regular season loss and you combine the frustration and some of the mistakes with the knowledge that you can overcome that, and that's what we saw in that play-in game. Now, there are still plenty of mistakes that were made over the course of the match, and that's because of LAFC is a really good team, and if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. But I think you have to recognize going into a match like that, that if you can keep the game in front of you, if you can collectively and individually force the ball back to where it came from, you're giving yourself an opportunity. The idea of shutting down a Diamande or a Vela or a Diego Rossi, all of that is a very broad stroke. But if you can kind of limit their ability in possession to be in those danger zones, the combination, understanding that both wide players, both outside backs want to get forward and overlap. In a lot of ways, Real Salt Lake and LAFC are similar in the way that they play, but they go about their business just a little bit differently. So Real Salt Lake and Mike and his coaching staff will build a game plan that I think will be a little bit of a lower block than we see usually at home. But like the first 30 minutes at DC, like the game at Houston, I think when the game gives themselves the opportunity to have that simple possession, the dangerous movement, I think Real Salt Lake will try to take that as often as possible.
Well, we'll look for that on Saturday when RSL heads to Bank of California Stadium to take on LAFC. Pre-game show starts at 8 p.m., kickoffs at 8:30 p.m., and you can watch on KMYU or KSL TV app.